I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'm Tanya Cook, chairperson of the Metropolitan Utilities District Board of Directors, and I'd like to welcome you all to the committee meetings this morning, March 1st, 2023. This meeting is being live streamed from the boardroom at the M.U.D headquarters building located at 7350 World Communications Drive, and a recording of this meeting will be uploaded to the M.U.D website after the meeting's conclusion. Safety briefing. I'd like to invite our Vice President of Safety and Security, Shane Hunter, to provide a briefing regarding protocol for all individuals in attendance at the board meeting today in the event of an emergency.
Good morning. Shane Hunter, Vice President of Safety and Security. The M.U.D boardroom is on the first floor here at headquarters, and normal entry and exit through this space was through the rear of the room. There is another door over here on this side of the room that we can use as an alternate exit. Should we need to leave this space for any reason, go through this door, you'll find the first aid kit, the fire extinguisher, and the AED is in this hallway. With the location of the AED in mind, a show of hands, who's CPR and AED trained in the room? Thank you. If there's a medical emergency in this space today, 911 will be contacted by security, who will then escort them into this room. It is Severe Weather Awareness Week, or excuse me, month, and we are going into severe weather season. The severe weather shelter for us will also be in this hallway through this door. And if we need to leave this space and evacuate this building for any reason, we'll go through the same door, take two lefts, and reconvene in the garage where we'll conduct accountability. That concludes the safety briefing.
Thank you. Roll call.
Cook.
Here.
Friend.
Here.
Sidzik.
Here.
McGowan.
Here.
Howard. Here. Kavanaugh.
Here.
Bagley.
Here.
Open Meetings Act notice. I would like to advise all those in attendance that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available on the wall at the back of the boardroom. Construction and Operation. Senior Vice President and Chief Operations Officer Gina Langle will review the capital expenditures.
Good morning, Gina Langle, Senior Vice President, Chief Operations Officer. Behind tab 5 is our capital expenditures letter. There are 7 items on there today, and I will be covering a total of 4 of the items found on there. First part is under system improvements. As you can see on the map that is being shown, that we have 3 system improvements. 2 of them are found in subdivision number 1, and 1 of them is found in subdivision number 6. So the first item I'd like to cover under that is item number 2. It's for $61,200 to install 30 feet of 12-inch gas main in Cass Street from 75th to 76th Street. I'd like to add that we should have also included on the CapEx letter that there's installing of 30 feet of 2-inch 10-pound coated steel gas main on there as well. It's spoken to in the letter, but it's not put up at the top. So that will be something that Director Friend will make sure that we amend to that as we go to the approval for it. This work is being done is required to eliminate conflicts with the proposed storm sewer being installed as an outfall for the Crossroads redevelopment project. This project is anticipated to start in March of 2023. This work is reimbursable. It is private in nature, and the developer will pay the cost of it. 2 residential services will be replaced and connected to the new gas main at an estimated cost of $6,000. There'll be no lead service line replacements for this particular one. This work also will be done by M.U.D crews. The next item is item number 3 for $260,000 to install 690 feet of 12-inch ductile iron water mains in Q Street from 86th Plaza to 84th Street. This work is being done to improve the system reliability and the fire protection to an isolated part of Zone 2. In addition to the overall system improvements, the work will provide a reliable water source to this area while an existing source is being replaced as part of our water infrastructure replacement. The project is anticipated to start in March of 2023, and it will also be constructed by an M.U.D crew. Under building, plants, and equipment, I'll go over 2 items in there. Item number 1 is the network lifestyle refresh and upgrades for 2023. The IT team is requesting approval to fund 2 annual life cycle refreshment expenditures. This is for $280,000. This annual request fulfills the replacement and upgrades of a portion of the district's network components. The schedule this year includes cellular modems that support gas monitoring and upgrades to our phone system and software. The next item and final item that I will be going over is item number 3 for $250,000. It's for the SCADA life cycle refresh and upgrades in 2023, and this will be done at Platte South. It's on page 2. The IT team completes upgrades to our SCADA system on a rotating basis. And I'm sorry if you're not aware of what SCADA is. It's the supervisory control and data acquisition. It captures the operation technology that we have out there. This year's effort is focused on the SCADA system hardware and the software that supports Platte South Water Treatment Plant. And staying on a continuous upgrade schedule ensures our critical industrial control systems remain reliable and secure. Any questions to any of the items that I covered?
Gina, I have item number 2, the audio video. Will that enhance work at home or Zoom meetings for board meetings or whatever? Will that have anything to do with working at home or doing things remotely?
We already have a very good work from home type thing on this. This one is to do the conference rooms at Florence, LNG, and Platte, and there is some additional equipment at headquarters. Ms. Lobziger, is there anything I need to add to that, on this? This is in her area, so hold on, I'll let her speak to that.
Sue Lobziger, Senior Vice President, CIO. No, this is strictly for conference room AV equipment. So as we did this building, we put in standard equipment, and every year we've just been expanding that across the district. So we have standard AV equipment in all our conference rooms. So this just continues that work, but it has nothing to do with work from home.
So at the headquarters, it's just conference room?
Correct. There's one conference room here that we didn't put in place that we use often.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Director of Plant Engineering, Stephanie Hen, will review acceptance of contracts and payment of final estimates. Stephanie.
Good morning. Stephanie Hen, Director of Plant Engineering. I will be addressing the next 2 agenda items on the agenda. We're going to start with tab number 6. That's our finals letter for this month. Fairly straightforward letter. 2 finals on there, 1 water development project and 1 plant project. I was going to touch briefly on item B, which is our plant project. This was an odorant tank and equipment removal at 3 locations in our gas system. Contractor is Midlands Resource Recovery. There was a change order associated with this project for the removal of some additional odorant equipment that wasn't identified prior to bidding and designing the project. Change order amount is approximately $40,000, and this additional scope was requested by our gas operations folks. So Jim Knight and I have discussed this at length. And engineering and gas operations agreed that this additional work and associated costs were warranted in order to adequately complete the project as intended. So approving this final also approves this change order. Any questions on that? Great, we will move on to tab number 7. This is a change order for our West Dodge pump station. As you recall, this is the pump station that is currently under construction near 153rd and West Dodge Road. Contractor is Hawkins Construction. Change order amount is about $118,000. This change order itself is about 3% above our bid cost, and this project began in May of 2022. That's when we broke ground. There are 4 items on this change order that are basically unrelated to each other. There's some instrumentation, some additional grout, things like that. But the most notable item on this change order and the highest dollar amount is we are proposing to add in some structural platforms. Basically what this is, there's platforms that will around the pumps and the equipment that's going to make it easier for our folks to work on the equipment as time goes by. When we originally designed the project, and here's what they would look like. Thank you, Jay. When we originally designed the project, we knew approximately what elevation the pumps were going to be at, but until the pump selection is actually made during the design process, you don't know exactly where it's going to end up. And so it ended up just a little bit higher. We wanted to head off any possibilities of reaching type injuries, so it's kind of a safety thing. And so Mike Koenig and I have discussed this. We think it's definitely warranted. It was brought up by some of his folks as a good addition to the station. This is what approximately they would look like. It's only bringing those platforms up about 2 foot off the floor, and it'll provide some safety and some easier working conditions in the future. Now, we do have the pump station. I do have some slides if you'd like to see where we're at, or I'm glad to just send those out to you later. I know we have a lot of things on the agenda, so that is totally your choice.
I'd like to see them.
Now or later?
How long will it take?
There, 5-10 minutes? Okay.
Steph, when do we expect it to be online, the pump station?
Great question. We were anticipating that we were going to be online by May of this year. We ran into some supply chain issues, and so the pumps and the variable speed drives have not been delivered yet. We still anticipate it's going to go online this summer, but we don't have an exact date. The pumps actually are going to be tested here at the factory at the end of this week. But then it takes a while to get them here, get them installed, and the variable speed drives we're not quite sure when those are going to show up yet. Jay has brought up my slides. Can you, here we go, Jay. Can I have the mouse, please? I'll do those one at a time. Let's see here. I was just going to give you a couple basics, few basic specs just to remind you about the project. We do have 4 identical pumps in that station for a total of 16 million gallon of pumping per day. That's with 3 pumps running and 1 spare. 2 of those pumps are constant speed drives, and the other 2 are variable speed drives, which gives us a lot more pumping flexibility. We did break ground last May. A few more items. I'm going to show you a map in just a minute. This pump station pumps from Zone 2 into Zone 3, and I'll show you how that kind of works. This will increase the pressures in Zone 3, which was the whole plan of the station, so that's going to happen. This station is similar in size to 2 of our other stations, one at 142nd and State Street, and the other one at 142nd and West Maple Road. Here's the map that I was going to show you, and I hope you can see my mouse on here. Here is Zone 1, and this is also Zone 1. Zone 1 is direct pumping from our from both Platte South water treatment plant down here and Florence here up north. So that's directly pumping into the distribution system. All of the pink area is Zone 2. So basically everything is pumped from Zone 1 into Zone 2. After it gets pumped out of the pump station, pressure starts to go down as it gets farther away from the pump station. There's a series of pump stations that boost the pressure back up to put it into Zone 2. After it gets through Zone 2, it needs more of a boost to get into Zone 3, which is the darker blue over here. So you can see this X right here is where the West Dodge pump station is. It's going to pump from Zone 2 into Zone 3 along with the other pump stations that go from 2 to 3. And over here is Platte West.
Will Platte West serve Zone 3? Is it pumping in Zone 3?
Platte West, and I will certainly phone a friend with Mr. Koenig. Yes, Platte West can pump into both Zone 3 and Zone 2. Mike, is that, got that? Yes. So the current status of the project, the building is enclosed. I'm going to show you a few pictures here in a minute. Gas service was completed in December, so the contractor's working and it's nice and warm in there. We have the composite shingles on the roof were all done in January. They're working on a lot of internal process piping and electrical work inside, and I'm going to show you a picture of that. And like we talked about, we're still awaiting delivery of pumps, valves, and the variable speed drives. Here's what the building looks like. This is the west side of the building. It's all enclosed now. So this is if we were looking from Lifegate Church, you would see this side of the building. Here's the insignia that's on the building, and you can see it's pretty low stated. We kind of like to be a little bit incognito. It does not face Dodge Street. This faces the church. This faces west. So it's going to be pretty behind the scenes kind of thing. Thank you. Thank you. They're doing a good job. This is the south side of the building. You can see that it's all enclosed. We have shingles, we have brick, we're working on equipment. Pretty much all the site paving is done now. This is actually looking north, and so Dodge Street is back here behind you. Here's the pump station. Dodge Street runs along here, back here. And you can see most of the site paving is done. This is if we were standing on Wycliffe Drive. This is actually where you drive into the pump station from the south. We've made our tie-ins now to the transmission mains to the pump station. So this is actually looking west. The church is back here. Lifegate Church is back here. Here's the pump station. This is one of the transmission mains that's coming into the station. So this would be the suction side, basically, that's going in. Here's internal to the building. We are looking south. Like I said, there are 4 pump locations. You can see where 3 of these will be. Obviously, pump's not there yet. 4th pump would be just off the screen to the bottom. You can see the piping that's there, all the electrical work, everything that they're working on. Another picture inside, you can see the crane's been installed now, piping out of the floor, lots of instrumentation and electrical work going on. And just to remind you of the transmission mains that are feeding this station, here we are on, here is West Dodge Road. My mouse isn't acting real well. And 156th Street over here. Here's the Texas Roadhouse, if you can picture that as you're driving down Dodge Street. Here is the West Dodge Pump Station, which is on the south side. And then all of the red is the transmission mains that will feed the pump station, both suction on the inlet side and discharge, which is on the outlet side. Everything that is hatched is the mains that are completed already. And we have just started over here, just north of the Texas Roadhouse, tying that in. So the piping work has just begun over here. Any questions?
Just one quick question. During construction, it looks beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
During construction, were there any issues raised by the church or the apartments about disruption, noise, or anything?
Actually, during the design process, they did ask us some of those questions. And with the church, we actually, with their maintenance folks and some of their elders of the church, we took them out to one of our other pump stations and let them hear what it would sound like when the station kicked on. We met with the apartments also and made sure that they knew what was going on. We didn't do that with them because they weren't not interested, but that was not something that was a high priority for them. So we did have those conversations, and throughout construction, it's really gone very well. We've had good neighbors on both sides, and we're trying to be a good neighbor to them also.
Good for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Director of Procurement, Sherry Meisinger, will now review the bids on materials and contracts. Good morning.
Morning. Okay. Sherry Meisinger, Director of Procurement. Bids and material contracts may be found on tab 8. There are several items I would like to discuss this morning, and the first may be found on page 2. We are recommending extending the contract for SuccessFactors and Workforce SAP Cloud Services provided by SAP for another 3 years. The district has been utilizing SAP SuccessFactors Cloud Solution for our human resources management needs since 2014. Currently, we use SuccessFactors for goal planning, continuous performance assessments, learning management, employee record management, and recruiting. The clouds, yes?
Where is the item you're talking about?
It is on page 2, right in the middle.
Oh, I guess I don't have.
We don't, none of us have page 2 in the book.
Oh,
Can we pull up page 2 on this?
Welcome to the board, Sherry.
I'm off to a good start.
Jay,
To no fault of your own.
can we pull up page 2 of the bids on, and materials and contracts? Give him a second here.
Yeah.
This is how we test.
How I'll respond. Thank you.
Thank you.
I saw you guys all flipping, and I was like, oh, okay, what do we, just keep going.
You have other items that are on?
Well, let's see. Do you guys got page 3? Okay.
do.
I'll jump to page 3. Perfect. Okay, the item on, at the top of page 3, we accepted bids for the purchase of one tandem axle fuel and lube truck. This vehicle is vital asset used to service and fuel district vehicles and equipment daily. The vehicle will replace a 13-year-old truck with over 200,000 miles that have reached the point wherein it is no longer economical to maintain for use within the district's fleet. 2 bids were received in which we are recommending the second low bid from Summit Truck Equipment, as the bid submitted by Aspen Equipment does not meet the specifications. Summit Truck Equipment meets specification as recommended for approval. Does anybody have any questions in regards to that one? No? Okay, perfect. The last item I would like to discuss, well, it won't be my last, but on page 3, we currently have 2 trencher backhoes and 4 combination plow trenchers on order. These 6 units they were competitively bid in April and June of 2021 and were approved for a total amount of $616,578.42. Ditch Witch was the successful bidder. As of today, M.U.D hasn't been able to take possession of any of the units due to delays in delivery. Additionally, price increases have occurred, in which we were able to negotiate a 10.2% decrease from the actual Ditch Witch costs of $791,691.20. We are now recommending the approval of $710,780.36, which is a 15% increase from original pricing. Any questions on that? No? Okay. Great. I'll go ahead and restart that one. Okay, on page 2, it could be found in the middle, we are recommending extending the contract for SuccessFactors and Workforce SAP Cloud Services, provided by SAP for another 3 years. The district has been utilizing SAP SuccessFactors Cloud Solution for our human resource management needs since 2014. Currently, we use SuccessFactors for goal planning, continuous performance assessment, learning management, employee record management, and recruiting. The cloud services will be invoiced on an annual basis. So that dollar amount that's on the bid letter, it will be spread out over 3 years.
Sherry, does that include licensing too for all the users?
I believe so. I'm going to have to. Yes.
It does?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And Sherry, I assume that's in the budget that we approved?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I believe the original contract was a 5-year. We're at a 3-year this time around. The next item can be found at the bottom of page 2. We are recommending the rejection of the single bid received from Altech Inc. for the one fiberglass crew truck body with Altech crane, air compressor, and power inverter. We only received 1 bid, and the lead time for the unit would place the delivery between October 2028 and January 2029. This delivery time frame, along with variable pricing during that time frame of delivery, is not acceptable to the district. Therefore, transportation will work to find other options for this application, possibly develop new specifications, and go out for a rebid. So So that's,
Yeah,
That
that's a
is-
safe bet.
yes.
2829, is that what you said?
Yeah. And we've also had other bids that have gone out where some are not wanting to bid just because they can't
Yeah.
commit to delivery time. And
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Services and Extensions, Vice President of Engineering, Masania, will review the proposed main extensions. Good morning.
Good morning, Masania, Vice President of Engineering. This morning I'll be covering tab 9, the main extensions letter. This month we have 3 water main extensions. The impact of the water main extensions includes water service and fire protection to 363 residential lots, and these are located in subdivisions 1 and 2, as you can see in the map. All 3 projects are designed as PVC. The lead times around water pipe materials continue to improve. As you recall, we switched to PVC last year with the extremely long lead times around ductile iron pipe. 3 development projects total approximately 3.4 miles of new mains, requesting your approval. These projects are scheduled for construction later this summer and as well into the fall. I'd also like to note that there are no district costs involved with any of these main extensions. And finally, all 3 projects have requested M.U.D gas service. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Personnel, Vice President of Human Resources, Bonnie Savine, will review employee wage and/or salary increases and ratifications. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning and happy March. Bonnie Savine, Vice President, Human Resources. I'll begin by recapping employee counts for February of 2022 and 23. At the end of 2022, we had 821 regular full-time employees and 3 regular part-time employees for a total of 824. February 28th, 2023, we had 871 regular full-time employees and 3 regular part-time employees. That gave us a total of 874. There were also 7 temporary part-time. That includes 3 temporary employees and 4 interns. And we do have our summer hire program ramping up right now. We do not have any on payroll yet, but that will be coming in the near future. A review of jobs in various stages of the job placement process include 6 jobs that have a requisition routing through the job review and approval process, 14 jobs that are currently posted, 9 are full-time jobs, and 5 are intern jobs. For those 9 regular full-time jobs, there are 2 that are internal. There is 1 that is both internal and external, and 6 that are external only. And then we also have those 5 intern jobs that are external only. 5 separate summer job postings are out there that will cover all of our summer positions. Those are available now until the end of the month. So if you know any college or college-bound students, they are encouraged to apply for that program. We have 10 jobs that are in the application review or interview stages, and we have 6 jobs with 6 selected candidates going through the hiring process. So lots of activity there. I will encourage you to turn to tab 10. That is where you will find the wage and/or salary increases and ratifications letter. Human Resources is recommending the Board of Directors approve wage or salary increases for 11 employees this month. 3 OAC employees will be promoted through the normal job posting process. 3 OAC employees will also be promoted through the job progression process. And we have 5 SPA employees that are recommended for an increase due to promotion as well. We have 1 new hire ratification for the month of February, and that was in the Water Department. Do you have any questions on that letter? Okay.
Do you ever track any data on how long it might take someone to earn a promotion, either SPA or in the other
Not
kinds of jobs?
specifically that I can think of, but
OAC.
I'll take that question back to the group
I'm
and
just
see if that's.
curious, because I know people have long careers here,
Sure.
and for good reasons. So it's clear they like working here. I'm just morbidly curious about how long one could look forward if one were interested in moving up or sideways.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for the question. On tab 11, it is recommended the Board of Directors approve the selection of Mark Myers as Senior Vice President, Chief Financial Officer. Mr. Myers received a bachelor's degree from the University of Nebraska, Omaha, specializing in accounting. He also maintains an active certified public accountant license. And Mr. Myers was hired by the district May 11th, 2015, as Manager, Budgeting and Financial Analysis. He was promoted to Vice President, Accounting in July of 2019. The Human Resources team conducted a thorough recruitment and job placement process along with the senior team. Over multiple months, all candidates were reviewed and vetted. The district senior management team and I do concur on this selection. And we are asking, in view of the additional responsibilities of the position as Senior Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, that the President be authorized to increase the salary of Mr. Myers effective March 16, 2023. Any questions on that letter?
The increase in salary is up to is $250,000.
Correct.
How big? What percent increase is that for him?
It is about 89%.
I imagine that's what the job pays in
That is
public's realm. In the real world,
that is
it
correct.
might be $1 million or plus bonuses. As you know, you worked in the money world.
That is correct.
Mark
Mr.
Doyle, President. Yeah, that, we anticipated the question. I don't think it's relevant, but the answer to the question is, I saw the reaction. This is not even base for this kind of position in another world I worked in, and I don't know that that really has anything to do with this, other than, and you supported us, and I very much appreciate it, that we set a base level to make sure that, in my judgment, the succession for these positions, I want, you asked a question about promotions, Director Cook. I want the VPs and the directors and the managers to really want to aspire to these positions. They're extremely important. Of course, we all have our own opinions and our own views, but I think the difference between full, dedicated engagement and sliding into a spot as was that happened, not sliding into it, but when a previous chief operations officer slid into the spot that had been here a long time, it was a 5% increase. It wasn't worth it. Right. So I don't know who agrees or disagrees with me, but I'm here to make judgments based on my experience, and I feel like we have an energized workforce, and we have more work to do amongst the SPA ranks to make sure that not just those that are newer here, but those that have been here a long time want to aspire to these positions and step into leadership roles that are fundamentally different than where you were before, and I promise you that's true. So,
and I asked that question just out of curiosity. I'm not objecting to it. I'm like Tanya, in the real world, in public, I know, having worked there, chief financial officer would make more than that. So I understand that, and I understand Mark is a good candidate. I'm looking forward to working with him, and I congratulate him. I was just kind of curious what it was, and I support it. I'm not challenging that at all.
But it does prompt me to talk about it a little bit, because this is a public body. We're in a public meeting, and I appreciate the question, but I hope to continue your support in that regard. And we had all external candidates except one, and I'm not even sure we would have been able to. One backed out after making the final cut, and the other two, I'm not sure how they felt, but I'm not sure we would have gotten what we really needed. And it occurs to me that the deep experience on the public utility, and in this case, natural gas and water, is so critically important. I feel like And I think the chief financial officer in the accounting side is a great example where we've moved to the outside when Deb Schneider was hired. That was a great hire. I don't want to be critical of the past, but we really saw the difference with the true chief financial officer with the CPA background that took a hold of the finances and really have reformed it. Joe was in the bullpen, so to speak, and Deb hired Joe. It was a fantastic hire. We'll talk a little more about him later. But and then Mark came along, and I think our succession plan in that regard, either accidentally or deliberately, was very good. And I did have a little discussion with Director McGowan about when we do these recruitings to the outside and we end up picking an internal candidate. I think that was a good discussion. What does it say to the outside? Well, Mark came from the outside. He's, as you can see, he's coming up on 8 years or so. And it was really like having somebody in the bullpen. We had hoped that that's what was occurring, but you can't always guarantee that someone's going to stick around. So I appreciate the question. I just feel like it does.
I think it's a great hire, a great move and everything, and I'm really happy we could promote from within. I think that's great.
But the difference is you're allowing us to start it at a base salary, and that's as much a message to the rest of the company as it is to the outside. And welcome, Mark. We're talking about you again. I don't know. You know Mark? Does he need to step up and say hi, or? Yes?
I just wanted to comment that anybody who doesn't understand the importance of this position need only look to Joe Schaffert and what he's meant to this company.
Yeah.
And I think I see his forehead there. Yeah.
It's getting bigger by the minute, yeah.
Mark's got some big shoes to fill, and this position is vitally important to the success of this organization.
Yes. If without effective CFO, we're not able to keep at infrastructure replacement, fund the building of these facilities, keep our rates where they need to be so we can do the work we need to do to stay reliable, safe, and effective for the future. No pressure, but I don't know. Thank you for
Congratulations, Mark.
Congratulations.
But three Marks on the senior team is becoming more difficult.
Yeah.
And then I used to say Mark M, and now I got to even change that because we have 2 Mark M's. So
That is correct.
thank you for that discussion.
All right. Thanks for bearing with me here. I do have 2 more tabs to present. So I would ask you to turn to tab 12. Behind tab 12, you will find a letter recommending the approval of a new regular full-time headcount to the 2023 budget. As noted in the letter, one aspect of the district's focus on organizational excellence has been furthering our diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DE&I, efforts. Diversity in the employment context is the mixture collectively of differences and similarities. It includes, for example, individual and organizational characteristics, values, beliefs, experiences, backgrounds, preferences, and behaviors. Equity in the workplace refers to fair treatment and access, opportunity, and advancement for all individuals. And inclusion describes the extent to which each person in an organization feels welcomed, respected, supported, and valued as a team member. Over the past 2 years, several diversity, equity, and inclusion-related initiatives have been launched and completed, laying a foundation for future program initiatives and goals. Those have generated tangible results, and additionally, studies have shown that DE&I enhancements foster a more innovative, positive environment and consequently improve performance and profitability. Management is recommending the addition of a position, Manager, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, as a regular full-time employee in the Human Resources Department. The manager, DE&I, will have a dual reporting responsibility to both Vice President, Human Resources, and the President. The creation of the role as a member of the HR management team infuses the position in all functional HR areas such as employment processes, recruitment, retention, community outreach, employee resource groups, benefits, and training. Allowing the position to report to the President enables the position to seek improvements outside of those core HR responsibilities. It's recommended the position be approved as an additional 2023 headcount. Questions?
Are there any other positions that report both to a vice president and the president?
Mark Doyle, President. The only other position that I'm aware of, I'm pretty sure, would be the general counsel. Oh, I'm sorry. General counsel has a dual reporting role to me and you. So I don't think...
And the Director of Internal Auditing.
I don't think there is
has a dotted
another
line.
role that it reports to both the VP and the President. No,
Right.
there is not.
Is this a typical way that this happens when DEI is created, has been created in other similar industries and organizations in town, in peer cities?
I don't know the answer, but I highly doubt it. Bonnie, any idea?
Well, with some of the peer organizations that I work with, it really is designed to fit the organization itself. So whether that is to live and work within the Human Resources Department, that is how some organizations choose to position that field, that functional team. Sometimes it's an individual, sometimes it's more than one. And again, that depends a little bit on the uniqueness of the organization, how big they are, how big of area, or globally, domestically, one state, one city. And then other times the position is elevated. So I think it really depends on the needs of the organization and what the organization feels is appropriate for them.
You know,
Thank
as
you.
I think about that question, though, and I don't know if Joe knows this, I guess the auditor might have a dual reporting role
Correct.
to me.
Correct.
And not necessarily to a VP, and the audit committee, so that maybe would be a triple reporting role.
Madam Chair, I don't know if this would be the appropriate time. I know we have a member from the public who would like to address this issue. Bonnie, I don't know if you want to get through the next item, or if it's okay if Mr. Station is invited up to the podium.
At your discretion.
Madam Chair?
I can do either.
It might make more sense to stay on one topic, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Keith Station, come up to the podium, please. Mr. Station is the Deputy Chief of Staff for Mayor Stothert, who was hired a couple years ago to oversee the DEI initiative with the City of Omaha. I was a former colleague of Mr. Station, and Mr. Station is going to talk about briefly his experience in his new position, relatively new position. Mr. Station, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you for a few moments. Mr. Begley, thank you for the kind invitation to come share with you. I won't take up too much of your time, but what I would like to do is offer my support, offer an endorsement, and offer any useful insight that you may be able to consider as you look to expand your organization with this very important role. My name is Keith Station. Again, I'm the Deputy Chief of Staff for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion in Omaha Mayor Gene Stothert's office. I had a chat with the mayor and told her that I'd be here to offer an endorsement, and she said to make sure that the board knows that she is in support of the work we do. The mantra we've sort of adopted is how do we expand a culture of inclusion in the city, and how we do business, and how we hire, and what we fund, and what we show up for. And we've made a difference in the last 2.5 years since I've been there. Mayor Stothert's given me and my colleagues a very special leadership platform. We argue that diversity, equity, and inclusion is a business imperative, and it's also the right thing to do. It makes your organization better, and you don't have to choose between those two things. You can do both, and you should. And in these times where we have an opportunity to meet our customers, both internally and externally, where they are, it's a must. The work is not always about race. Sometimes the conversation about race dominates the conversation, but it's not about that. Bonnie did a great job a moment ago highlighting the breadth of the work and all the ways that it can benefit an organization and your employees, how you retain employees, how you attract employees, how folks are promoted, and the culture within your organization. The addition of the role shouldn't feel punitive. It should be something that's positive. It is the person who would serve as the diversity, equity, inclusion point of contact is not the sole means of expanding inclusion or diversity in your organization. Their responsibility is to help to shepherd the work, but expanding a culture of inclusion and making your organization more diverse is everyone's job. Again, the work is not just about race, it's about taking care of your people, about taking care of your workforce. It's about your customers and ratepayers. At the city, we have initiated a couple of new boards and commissions that exist to help support the work. The mayor started a city employee diversity, equity, inclusion advisory board, and that's an interdepartmental grouping of my colleagues who work to develop our strategic plan, to develop the training that we will offer to all city employees. And we offer it in a way that again, reinforces that it's not an arm twist, it's not punitive. It's professional development. It's equipping people with the tools, resources, information that they need to serve our customers, to serve our constituents. And I just made some notes because I could talk for a long time as a proponent for expanding your organization in this way. We've made sure to properly contextualize this work because it's important. The work is not just about definitions, but the words are important sometimes. And my personal opinion, I think that when you keep it simple, when you make sure that your values align with your strategic plan for diversity and inclusion, it's simple. You are role modeling. You are asking for a commitment to employees, to board members, to the community, to align with how do we serve our people better. Again, that's internally as well as externally. It's important as you hire for this role to have a clear delineation for the individual. What are the internal aspects of the role and what are the external aspects of the role? And sometimes those blur, but that's okay. But some delineation and understanding there is important. You might be thinking, well, Keith, this sounds good, but how do we know how to measure this? How will we know when the impact is made? And what we've seen at the city and as the 3,500 person workforce as well as into the community, I talked to my colleagues and peers in this work as well, is you'll know when you've created a feedback loop from employees as well as from your customers that they feel like that they're heard, that they feel like their feedback is incorporated. You'll know when your applicant pool for other critical roles in your organization begins to skew toward or reflect a more balanced reflection of the community. Again, not just with race, but in all ways that people identify. You'll know when people leave your organization and they cite that they are leaving because they have an opportunity that they can't refuse, not because they can't thrive under a manager in a department or on a team that doesn't recognize what they bring to the organization. I think that the way that you've designed the role is a smart one. I think that the role having a connection to human resources and certainly working in the human capital department as well as being connected directly to Mr. Doyle is important. I think that's a good strategic move. In my role, I have a chance to report directly to Mayor Stothert, and she's very supportive of the things that we examine. I want to also encourage you by letting you know that as you hire for this role, that they will have a built-in ecosystem, a family, if you will, of my peers, of people that do this work in the community, again, across industries, across businesses. So this person will have a support system. We'll have some precedent in some ways. We'll have some examples of things that worked well and maybe some things that didn't. And you can count on that. You should be encouraged by that because that'll be a resource, a very important tool for this role to begin their work with. There will be skeptics, there will be naysayers, there will be detractors, but that's okay. My advice would be to welcome the discourse. Make sure you depoliticize it if you can, when you can, because again, the work is about making your organization better. It's not about wading into politics. Sometimes this conversation can be divisive if not handled honestly and with leadership. Starts at the top. And so I want to offer myself also as a resource. If I can answer any questions for you, if I can support the person, happy to do so. I think that you're doing the right thing, and congratulations. And if I can answer any questions, happy to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there questions from the board at this time? It's a good resource.
Thanks, Mr. Station, and no question for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm really glad that Mr. Station mentioned both the internal and external component of this position. I happened to look on the OPS website, and in thinking about our 874 employees, many of whom go out in the metro area to do work every day. And on the OPS website, it said that there are 107 languages spoken by students and families in OPS. So imagine that, 107 different languages, the diverse cultures that our employees interact with on a daily basis. And I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate Mr. Station's comments, but both external and internal reasons, I'm glad we are considering this position, and I appreciate Mr. Station's time.
Okay, thank you as well. And finally, tab 13, if you could please turn there. Behind tab 13 is the recommendation for SPA salary structure adjustment for 2023. The salary scales for SPA employees are reviewed on an annual basis, and recommendations for adjustments are brought to the board as part of our compensation cycle. The district's organizational excellence and financial responsibility pillars continue to be focal points in the 2003 salary scale adjustment recommendation. Financial responsibility includes managing to an approved budget, and today's recommended 4.5% is included in this group for the approved 2023 budget. Our management team also sets strategic goals aimed at achieving organizational excellence. District employees are critical assets and support our mission and vision. Their commitment to the district and our customers continued to be evident throughout the past year. A salary scale increase is essential in acknowledging their work over the last year. As in previous years, several factors are taken into consideration, and the recommended adjustment is a collective effort, and it is certainly not taken lightly. Management's recommendation for the 2023 SPA salary scale adjustment is 4.5%. The adjustment would be effective today, March 1st, 2023. Are there questions?
Bonnie, on page 3, you have on the top of it, you have the appraisal scores. You know, you got to have a appraisal score of 3.0 or higher to get the 100%. You have the different layers, all 5 sets of that. What's the distribution? I'd like to know how many do we have in 1 and how many do we have in 5? Do we have any employees in 5 that get nothing?
5 is the top of the scale, actually. 5.0, we do not have any employees that are rated at a 5.0. Okay. 3.0 is the
any
standard.
Appraisal, the one I'm asking about is any appraisal score of 1.99 or lower shall not get anything.
We do not have any that are below 2.0.
Nobody out of 824?
No.
Okay, and then let me ask you, the appraisal score of 3.0 or higher, how many get 100%?
We have 92 of the SPA employees that are eligible for the full 5%. We have a number, well, are you talking about the general increase?
Yes. The 4.5.
Yes. All of our SPAs except for 5 were rated at a score of 3.0 or higher, so they will receive the general increase.
All but 5 out of
Correct.
824?
Correct. Yes.
See, that kind of bothers me because usually a performance scale like this is a bell curve. You got a lot of in the middle, right? You got some on the ends, but I hear that we get nobody on with a 0%. We get everybody out of 824 are good employees.
Let me caveat that. The general increase you're voting for today is for the SPA group. The SPA group's general increase is based on performance. That is for the 266 SPAs. Okay. So 5 of them will not be eligible for the full general increase. For the OAC group, which we have about 603 employees, their general increase is not tied to performance. So as long as they are working full-time, they get the general increase.
But they're still evaluated and rated? the OACs?
That is the policy, that they are evaluated and rated, but that evaluation and rating does not yield any change in their general increase. It only impacts their
Can I ask you,
progression.
the OACs, how many are rated to a point, if they were compared for compensation, how many are rated so they'd get 0, the lower level?
Their appraisals are done on a monthly basis based on their anniversary date. So we could go back and look over a specific period of time and select a year, because generally they all would get one in a year, and we could pull together that information for you.
Okay, I understand. What bothers me a little bit is the SPAs. How many did you say, 225 or something?
266.
266.
Yes.
266, not one employee was ineligible for a merit increase.
Well, I would offer that if we have an employee that is not meeting standards to that degree, we would address that through management processes, coaching, performance improvement plans, disciplinary actions, and manage that employee. So we set expectations for work performance. We have one-on-one meetings with the direct reports. SPA direct reports get a quarterly one-on-one meeting if they don't meet more frequently than that. So we have eyes on their performance, and we work to try and re-engage them and correct behaviors or performance issues before we really get to the performance appraisal process.
And do we coach the supervisors and give instructions how to rate people? It's very difficult. I understand the process. It's very difficult, but you got to be objective too.
We do, yes. We provide training on the performance appraisal, both goal setting, so that there are goals that are created. They are required to have goals. Those goals propagate over to the performance appraisal. So the performance appraisal includes the goals that the management team has set for them. It includes a competency section, and it includes core values. So it is weighted appropriately for the goals 60%. Core values, well, competencies are 30%, core values are 10%. And so it is basically a combination of all of those pieces and parts. And so we do review with the supervisors the expectations for rating. A 3.0 meets expectations, and we would expect that that is the most frequent rating that is given to an employee. If they exceed expectations, which is a 4, or need development, which is a 2, we certainly have a number of employees that can receive a 2 on one of the rated items within their appraisal, but overall, if their appraisal score is a 3.0 or higher, then their performance for the whole year meets expectations, and then they're eligible for that increase.
I'm not a fan of forced ranking, of numbers saying that, okay, we have to have so many in this degree and so many in this degree, so many in that.
Right.
I'm not in favor of that. All I want to know is I want to make sure that our supervisors are being objective and given fair reviews.
We do as well. We do as
Can
well.
Mark Doyle, President, I'd like to make a couple comments on that. Director McGowan, there are, first of all, relatively speaking, we have a pretty small company here. We have 872 employees?
74.
74, thank you. As far as the lowest part of the scale, there are some ex-employees because of that. We wouldn't, I'm just going to leave it at that. This is a difficult discussion in public, but some of it is fair game, in my opinion. One of the tools that have been put in place, how long ago did we start the one-on-ones and the skip levels?
3 years.
3 years ago.
3 years. This is
And that's
our
one
third
of the things that I observed. If you're never getting a discussion with the manager, how do you know? So we have one-on-ones on a regular basis, and they're tracked in the Success Factors product that you heard a little while ago that we're getting a 3-year license. Performance appraisals are totally tracked. They're electronic. You could see them if you want to see them. And the coaching sessions occur through the one-on-ones, not with just your direct reports, but there's also an accountability for skip level one-on-ones. That goes a long way to making sure we're all on the same page, and it's another way for the employees to keep managers in check as well. And I've told the employees, I haven't said it lately, but if you're not having a meeting with your manager, let me know, because you're entitled to it. So there's a lot of tools in place, and I'm not a fan of forced rankings either, but I understand why you bring it up. You know, there is naturally a bell curve. Now, you know, I'm a believer here. We have a really good employee population here. And again, when I say it's not that big, I'm used to one where if you have 15,000 employees, it's pretty hard to know, but you're also judged on profitability. So that makes it easier. We're not. We're judged on customer engagement and all those things. So what I'd like to suggest, and I'm not trying to cut off the dialogue, but it is a public meeting, I'd love to come back to the Personnel Committee or whatever committee you like and answer all these questions and put it on the table. But I'm pretty confident that the managers and the employees are working pretty well here together to hit on all cylinders. And part of that reason, the reason for that is we've been very transparent on what we do and why we ask you to occasionally take more money from our neighbors to do what we do, and that's accountability for our customers. And we meet with Terry and Tom monthly as a management team, and a lot of that discussion is we need to be accountable for the rates that we take to do what we do here to make sure that our customers have reliable, safe, life essential services in water and natural gas. It's taken very seriously. So I don't mind the dialogue, but it is a little hard for Bonnie to defend those questions, because that's what it feels like in a public setting. I'm sorry to bring that up, but this is pretty near and dear to my heart here.
My experience, I have to tell you, has been very positive. Every time I've worked with anybody in the office, SBAs call, have questions, very professional, and get my answers. Answer my questions. And anytime I've interacted with people out in the field, construction crews, they're very courteous, they're very nice, and the public that I've talked to responds that way too. So it doesn't surprise me. All I wanted to make sure of is that we have a good objective process in place.
Yeah, second to none, but we also, we have a process in place, especially for our OSC employees, where, there's a process and it needs to be fair, and there's a grievance process in place, and we take all these things very serious. I would suggest, and I guess I'd ask the chair of personnel, if we want to have a bigger discussion about this, we'd love to. I think we have some things we'd love to show you. It's just kind of hard to draw it out here.
I would welcome that, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Great. Other questions?
Yeah.
Thank you as well.
Thank you very much, Bonnie.
I'm trying not to.
All right, accounts, expenditures, finance and rates. Senior Vice President, Chief Financial Officer Joseph Shafford will present the bond resolution for potential refinancing of the Water Department Series 2012 bonds. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Joe Shafford. Serve as the Chief Financial Officer for the district for a short period of time remaining before I turn it over to the very capable hands of Mr. Mark Myers. So good morning again. The agenda title for potential refinance is a bit clunky, so what we're doing today is maybe a little different than what you've experienced in the past. Behind tab 14 is a transmittal memo that relates to a bond resolution to refinance the Series 2012 bonds. And we will only do that when the interest environment is such that it makes sense to do so. But by having a resolution on the books, it enables us to do this much quicker if that situation should arise. It should be noted that we kind of continually look at this with the help of Piper Sandler. In fact, when we issued the water bonds in October of 2022, we looked at it then. It didn't make sense. We looked at it very recently. For a very short window of time, it started to make some sense, and then it changed with the Fed meeting and inflation still being not where people want it to be, so rates continue to rise. But a resolution would enable us, the district, to move forward with a bond issuance to refinance pretty quickly, because we've already done some heavy lifting with the help of Piper Sandler as well as Gilmore Bell, who drafted the resolution that's behind the memo. In fact, Piper thinks that we could perhaps do a refinancing bond in around 4 weeks, which is very quick for a bond issuance, in part because we put some things in place already, including this resolution if you approve it. And just a brief recap, the bonds that we're talking about were issued in December of 2012 at a par value of $40.7 million. There's $24.1 million outstanding as of the end of 2022, with an average coupon or interest rate of 3.32%. Like I said, Piper will continue to monitor this for us. and tell us when it may make sense to do this. I have a couple that were supposed to join us virtually. I can't tell if they're on or not, but Todd Goffey and Matt Courtney from Piper are joining virtually. And then, like I said, our bond counsel, Gilmore Bell, prepared the resolution. Colleen Duncan, who is a partner with Gilmore Bell, is in the audience today, if there are any questions about that. And the only other thing I guess I want to point out, though, is despite the fact that both Piper and Gilmore Bell have done a fair amount of work to get us to this point, there are no fees charged if bonds aren't issued. So if we end up not issuing bonds, we don't pay them anything for what they've done. Their fees are contingent upon a bond issuance happening. So are there any questions?
Joe, I don't have a question. I just have a concern. Today's environment, interest rates are going up.
Sure.
The Fed, every time you look at the Fed, is raising rates. The Fed comes out and says they project to have increasing rates throughout the next year or so. And I don't see any environment that we're going to see in the near future for lower interest rates. So my concern is the timing of this. Why bring this to the board now with the environment clearly of interest rates rising without anything on the horizon for lower interest rates? I know it's a zero cost. It doesn't cost us anything. Get it in place. I understand that. But why in an environment of interest rates going up without any horizon of lower rates or even stable rates?
Well, you know what's interesting, Director McGowan, is that about 3 to 4 weeks ago, there was a window where this could have made some sense. But the reality is it takes about 6 weeks to do a bond issue were it not for things like this in place. Keep in mind, all this is a resolution to enable a district to move forward rather quickly in the event the environment changes. The other thing that drives it is the demand for the different types of bonds. I mean, these are tax-exempt municipal bonds, highly credit rated, low risk, and this resolution has an expiration date on it. It has a 1-year life. So if the environment doesn't change in 1 year, this will go and lapse, and no harm, no foul, no cost incurred by the district. But if this would enable us to take advantage of a window that would perhaps save the district $500,000 or whatever the number would be, the typical threshold is about 2% of outstanding principal, so it'll be about $485 is what you're looking for, because you're only going to do this once between now and 2032. So that's all it is. It's serving it up. I mean, we thought we might be before you today saying we want to go for bonds. It's just the market's so dynamic that the very brief window of time we had evaporated too quickly. But it could change. I mean, it's just that dynamic. And again, some of it is driven by demand for these types of bonds.
Okay, well, thank you for that explanation.
Sure.
I understand that, and especially since there's no cost. You know, I think
that's right.
Okay, that doesn't hurt us. I understand that. I'm just concerned about the timing is all.
Oh, yeah, and again, I appreciate the concern. And if we were going, in fact, when we started to have these conversations, you know, the question that I posed to Piper, and Colleen knows this too, it's like, you got to assure me we're not going to incur anything if we don't issue these bonds. And the answer was, we're not incurring anything. Well, we could have incurred some costs had we gone further down the path. You have to get a credit rating for the bond. So we faced a go, no-go. It became clear it was a no-go. But a credit rating agency is not going to give you a pass if they start working on a credit rating. In fact, we had a meeting scheduled for this afternoon were it not for the change in what occurred. So now that meeting's canceled and there will be no cost for a credit rating. This, again, is just to try to position those that follow to perhaps save some money on this debt. But the interest rate's not bad on the current debt, but we thought if there's a window to save it, by all means, let's do it.
Joe, if you, maybe real quickly, what would the process be if internally we have this in place and we're ready to engage? What would the board process be?
It would, again, Piper Sandler does a great job of, their fingers are on the pulse of these markets. They would call and alert. Now, Mr. Meyer saying, well, looks like we have a window. You would move, the resolution's in place, the board's already authorized the debt. You'd move for a credit rating, finish, and I'm not minimizing the legal documents required that Ms. Duncan leads on. But, you know, 4 weeks is a pretty short period of time to pull the trigger on a bond. And it's, you know, like I said, it's $24 million roughly is what it would take to refinance. So it's quick, 4 weeks.
Joe, I would imagine that this has never been brought before the board before, something of this nature. Given the volatility of the market, is this something that should be brought before the board on an annual basis? So there would, obviously this body meets once a month, but given the volatility, to allow the experts to make a judgment with the board's approval, is that something you would recommend going forward?
Well, Ordinarily, we're before you because we need a new round of money. So that would be driven by the timing of our capital budget. And on the water side, I think the next one's 2025, and I think we have one for end of 2023, if I'm not mistaken. But this one is different in that we're looking to refinance. That's what makes this one different.
But in terms of refinancing, the ability to refinance as quickly as possible is what I'm getting at.
That's a good point. It would depend on the existing interest rates of the existing bonds.
Right.
We have very low interest rates on our bonds, and this is among the highest remaining, of course. But even this one at three and some change is still a good rate.
Sure.
But it's driven in part because we have a very good credit rating.
Yeah.
Thanks to the support of all the people around the board table right now, as well as the team with M.U.D. But all I will tell you is we are constantly monitoring refinancing. But when you do a resolution, it has to be for a specific bond.
I see. Thank you.
You bet.
But Director Baker, this stays in place. Is that what you're?
For 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it relates to the refinancing of just the 2012 bonds.
Okay.
But next year at this time, should we, if the market is appropriate to do
Perhaps.
so, to consider it at that time?
And if the timing is such, it might be we're doing a resolution and moving right on with the bond.
Sure.
Yeah.
This could be part of our process with all the,
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't want to get too much into the weeds.
No. Great questions. Anything further? Thank you.
Thank you. Director, wait, here we go. Turn it over. Oh, of course. It's like I have a block. It's like yes. Governmental Relations Attorney Rick Kubat will present the second legislative report for 2023. Good morning.
As mentioned before, we're in the long session. As mentioned before, we're in the long session, so bills introduced this year, unless killed in committee, have a 2-year life cycle. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. Starting on page 1 is LB 122, which is a bill that would essentially set up a hit court for folks that have issues with one-call violations. They can provide a report to the state fire marshal's office. I just wanted to alert the board that that bill right now is a moving target, that several parties have been brought to the table in an attempt to find compromise. Right now, there is a proposed amendment to increase. Right now, the hit court was going to be made up of the state fire marshal or their designee and 2 excavators,
Hey,
2
Rick,
operators.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't have page 2 on this second legislative report either. And I suspect.
Is it April 1st instead of March 1st?
Strikes again.
I just wanted to read the second part of 122 and anyway.
It's a gremlin.
Sorry about that.
No, I just
You're on top of page 2 today, Nick.
Jumping back to the initial introduction of this bill, it was an attempt to address the fact that when one-call violations were occurring, there was thoughts amongst excavators and operators that folks were not being accountable. This bill is an attempt to make that more efficient by creating a hit court. And then what I was speaking to is the proposed amendment would increase the makeup of the board, and instead of having two excavators and 2 operators, they were going to make that board 4 excavators, 4 operators. So now it would be a 9-person board with the state fire marshal or their designee. The other thing that the bill, and I apologize, Director Friend, if you had a question, if you want to.
I can wait, but well, since you gave me the opportunity, thank you. What's the difference between an excavator and an operator? Don't they both do the same thing? I'm just wanting an education.
We're uniquely, as an organization, we're actually both because we're going out and providing excavation work. In terms of one call, the operator is deemed to be those that are providing locates. So, for example, if you had a project in your yard and you called one call and OPPD had to come out and locate their electrical work for purposes of their locating services, they're considered the operator. If
An operator's not a machine operator. That's what confused me.
No,
Okay.
the operators, the utilities themselves, and the excavators are, in this case, we're both. The excavators are those that are doing the trenching. OPPD, if they're doing their own work and they're doing excavators, in that moment in time, they're the excavator.
That's what confused me. Thank you for the education.
The other thing that this proposed amendment in the language is being changed on a daily basis as the parties are trying to work together. There has been some concerns out in the field that those requesting locates are requesting large areas to be located, and then with no real attempt to get the work done, and then a couple weeks later calling and asking for refresh tickets for relatively large areas, again, with no work being done. So the parties are working together in an attempt to address that, basically saying if you're calling in for locates, there should be an expectation that the excavation work is actually going to get done. So that portion of the proposed amendment, I'm going to know more as it evolves, I think would be beneficial to the district.
Well, kind of off in the weeds a little bit, but what you just suggested from talking to our locators, I've been advised is a huge problem, because these excavators or people that are doing work will call these locate tickets in, and they're for really big areas. And our people are out locating, and it's taking a lot of time, and there's never a shovel put into the ground. And then they'll call for a refresh, and our people have to go back out, make sure nothing's changed from the gas and water side, refresh, no shovel in the ground. And this has happened to some of these locators multiple times in areas, especially downtown or other high population density areas, or areas that have a lot of our utility work in the ground. And these guys are out chasing basically ghost tickets, my word's not theirs. So anything we can do to keep that down, so that sometimes the excavators will go out there and, well, I might do this area next week, so I'll get a locate. No, I'm not going to do it. Well, then all of the one-call people have had to go out and locate that area, and there was never a shovel put in the ground. So it does create some problems for the people that do locating, whether it's Cox, OPPD, us, whoever else has something in the ground. That is an issue. And we spend a lot of time and money locating stuff where there's never a shovel that goes in the ground.
You stated it well, and we're hoping that that type of language will be inserted in the bill.
Do you have a motivation for why they ask for this? They just want to have their options open and they don't see it as a burden?
Because it's free. Doesn't cost anything.
Okay.
You can
Right.
call a locate and it doesn't cost anything. They just keep refreshing it so it's constantly open. So if they decide, I'm going to dig here today, no, I'm going to go over here tomorrow, they've got these constant refreshes going, so
They have
that
options.
we're playing we're the yo-yo that is
No.
being pushed up and down the string.
Okay, we don't want to be
Is
that.
there any period of time that these tickets, was that what you were calling them, tickets are good for? Are they good for a month? Are they good for 6 months?
Yes, there's a specific time, and I'm a little bit sheepish and embarrassed off the top of my head. I know the answer to that question is yes. What the time frame is, I can't recall.
And that's what these diggers will do, is they wait until like a day before it expires and then ask for a refresh. That just strings it along.
It's not nice.
Mark Doyle, President, if you want Shane to come up and talk about it a little bit, he can give you, okay.
No, I don't want
good
to, I just wanted to make sure the other board members knew why this is a big deal for us, because if you don't understand the refresh and locate
Yes,
process, you're
exactly.
thinking, why do we care?
So it's free for them, and it maybe helps them make money because it can minimize, they can move their workers around who showed up today. So there's a financial incentive for them to call us all the time for free.
Doesn't mean they're correct, doesn't mean they're bad people. It just
Right,
means
it's
that
business, but-
we're out chasing things
Right.
that may not be necessarily in need at that time.
Sure, thank
And
you.
it's, you could say that it's easier just to say do it all instead of planning your work, and I'm living it right now. You may have noticed on KETV or elsewhere that the entire city of Bellevue is being 3 fiber companies are coming through, and I'm going to talk about it in public because I've been talking to Bellevue. They located the whole city, including my yard. I'm not saying the whole city is done right now, but just to let you know the breadth of the work that's in front of us that we have to try to plan for, we have, don't quote me, 5 or 6, Shane, 5 or 6 locators full-time on that job? Full-time, 5 days a week, and 3 or 4 all day Saturday, just locating for this one job in the city of Bellevue. The work is so critically important, you know, and now I get to watch because all our yards are flagged, and I'm timing it because it's a great way to test just what Director Friend is saying. You know, a lot of it is, you know, it's dangerous when this is done wrong, and our locators locate over 100,000 locates a year with almost perfect accuracy. We're not perfect, but that's the goal. Just like flying airplanes, you want to be perfect. The work that's done is stellar, but as Director Friend said, if you don't police it and excavators and operators don't hold each other in check, it's not only a difficult thing for us, it's dangerous to our public. So we hope that this legislation passes and that language is in there to help with that. But you know, Dave, that they do police each other, and we know who the frequent flyers are, right? So, but the work that's done, and we do our own locating. Other companies and utilities use a third party, and I'm here to tell you, I wouldn't have it any other way for us than to do our own locating. But it's expensive, and it takes a dedicated staff, a well-trained staff. We have certification. It's really important. So it's a great conversation, and it's a really good story for us, but it's difficult. I didn't mean to drag that out, but it's
the only thing that I would add is that we've been actively engaged with those folks that are bringing this bill forward, and they're keenly aware of what our interests are in relation to this specific issue.
Now, Rick, am I reading that right? We're neutral on this? Why aren't we, based on this discussion, why aren't we more positive on that, supportive?
What I would say is other utilities that are similarly situated to the district have also been neutral. I understand that we have a neutral position because this bill is nuanced and there's a lot of different pieces to it. In terms of the issue that Director Friend brought up on the refresh of the locate tickets, all those involved with getting this bill in a form that the parties can agree to are aware of what the district's position is in terms of the refresh piece. If I can jump ahead.
Please.
LB 161, I know we talked about this a little bit last time, and this is Senator McDonald's bill that prohibits employers from requiring employees to essentially wear tracking devices. That bill has been moved out of committee. It is now placed on general file. Had another discussion with Senator McDonald yesterday about the district's concerns that LB 161 would not be applicable to district vehicles or cell phones or district property. Our conversation was a good one, and I was told that that would be clarified as that bill moves forward, that other entities such as ourselves have brought similar concerns as it relates to LB 161. I'm going to move on to page 3. That was Senator Von Gilleren's bill, LB 205, that essentially the target of this bill are what's known as project labor agreements. The senator didn't want any contract issued by a political subdivision to say thou shall have or thou shall not have a project labor agreement. I mentioned to the board last time that we inquired about an amendment being offered to remove gas, water, and electric utilities from the bill. That bill, since this memo was written, has also been moved out of committee. It is now on general file, and at the beginning of his testimony, Senator Von Gilleren indicated his attempt, or indicated that his intention was for that amendment to basically remove us as a utility from the bill will be offered. but it is on general file.
So is it on the schedule?
I have not seen it on the schedule. And I don't know if it's gotten a priority designation or not. I
Right.
know right now they're talking about guns as we speak, and that should last at least a couple of days,
I'm guessing so.
which issues that the district is not involved in, that they talk for long periods of time, is always welcome. Moving on to page 5 is LB 613 by Senator McDonnell. That's a bill being brought forward on behalf of the district, seeking $45 million of general fund appropriations for lead service line replacement. Up to $5 million of that appropriations could be used for a labor training program. We actually are going to have a meeting on this bill yet this morning, where we're meeting with the Policy Research Office and the Nebraska Department of Environment and Energy to see if that bill were to move forward, if we could perhaps use the general fund allocation of these dollars as a match to the Nebraska Department of Environment and Energy's Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. And if I can back up a little bit, that Drinking Water State Revolving Fund is a program administered by NDE. They receive federal dollars and will provide utilities such as M.U.D. essentially loans, but within that loan is a requirement that we would have to pay back some dollars. NDE's current program would be, for every dollar that would be provided to the district, right now, my understanding is the district would have to pay 42 cents on the dollar. What we're trying to see is if we can get LB 613 to move, if we could use those general fund dollars to cover the 42 cents, thus making the district whole, which would be a good thing, but attempting to get a significant portion of funds out of appropriations is certainly an uphill challenge, but a bill that we're going to do our best to get in a good position. The only other remaining one that I wanted to mention is Senator Albrecht's LB 636, which is a bill that would prohibit municipal ordinances from limiting fuel choices. Actually had a very good hearing. There were 17 proponents on the bill. There was one opponent, which was the Sierra Club, and the bill was drafted in a way that the League of Municipalities was in a neutral position. And I know my understanding is there's some discussion with the Natural Resource Committee of perhaps trying to get that bill considered for a committee priority designation. So with that, I know that's just kind of the highlights of several bills, and I skipped over many others. Happy to answer any questions.
Rick, 691, wasn't that pulled at the committee hearing? Didn't she pull that?
So for both 691 and 693, those were M.U.D. streetcar-related bills that, on behalf of the district, was extremely appreciative that Senator Linehan brought forward on our behalf. At the committee hearing, Senator Linehan requested that the committee indefinitely postpone or kill those bills. I know that Urban Affairs Committee met in executive session last night around 5 o'clock, and I'm not certain whether or not they did or did not take action on those two bills.
But just to be clear, there is a third bill that has to do with use of TIF within a 50-year period that's neither of these, and we're not involved in that.
That is correct. That's another Senator Linehan bill, and that bill did have a committee hearing, and I believe it's on your list. On page 4, that was LB 389. And so, to my knowledge, that bill is still lingering within committee consideration after the hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Senior Vice President, General Counsel Mark Mendenhall will present a proposal for condemnation and authorizations. Oh, there's a surprise. There is now, welcome to the stage, Mark Doyle.
As a point of order, Chairperson Cook, may I take a little detour in our agenda?
Yes, I'm going to write it down.
Okay, thank you very much. Interesting day today. You know, we have, you hopefully will approve our new CFO, but I did want to talk about a couple of employees that this is their last board meeting. It's not me, so just so you know. Corey, could you come up for a second? I hope Director Kavanaugh likes his tie. Yeah. So you got an O'Brien, a Doyle, a Kavanaugh, Beckley. I don't know if I should be here. It's been a pleasure knowing you, Corey. I hope to know you for the rest of your retired career. I'd like to start by just doing the obligatory, but the honor of presenting Corey for his 36 years of service at the district. I'm going to pull out my glasses. I'm going to read it. Corey O'Brien, 36 years for dedicated service to the Metropolitan Utilities District of Omaha, Nebraska. In grateful appreciation from the Board of Directors, our employees, and especially our customers, I'm going to have a specially put into these, presented this 6th day of May, and I know it's not the 6th of May, but there's a little story why we do that, of the year 2023. Signed, Mark Doyle, President, and Tanya Cook, Chairperson of the Board. I'd like to give Corey a hand for that.
Thank you.
You know, when we're bringing somebody in, we talk about their background, but I think at this point, it's more comfortable for me just to say, you know, the work you've done. We only have so many 36-year segments in our life, and you chose to spend it at M.U.D. It's very much appreciated. I hope it's been as enriching for you as it has been for the district. And all the employees and customers you've interacted with, you've been nothing but a gentleman, dedicated employee, and I'm going to say a friend. I hope you agree.
No, I do.
But, and it's really a pleasure for me to stand here. I kind of like that, don't you? That was for you, not me. You know that, right? But really, there are many employees before me, you know, Scott, all the leadership that's been involved with you that really would love to stand here and do this, so it's my pleasure. I don't know if the board would like to wish Corey well in his retirement, well-deserved retirement.
I'd like to say thank you, Corey, for all your years. You've served the ratepayers great, and we all owe you a debt of gratitude, and wish you the best in retirement, and we really do. I've had limited interaction with you, but every time I have, I've been very pleased, and pleased with your responsiveness and getting back to me quick.
You bet. Thank you, Director McGowan. Thank you.
Good luck to you, Corey. In the words of Carol Burnett, I'm so glad we had this time together. Enjoy your retirement.
I will. If I may, just for a moment, Mark mentioned 36 years. That's a long time, and I'm humbled and so grateful for that career. And I'm very excited for the next 36 years. I want to balance the work years with the retirement years, so that's what I look forward to. And I couldn't have done it without much support from many people, my family, my wife Diane, most of all, friends and coworkers and yourselves are all included in that. That's you don't get through a career like ours without a huge amount of support, because these are hard jobs. They really are, and it takes a certain amount of sacrifice from everybody that is part of our organization, because what we do is very important, and the people we serve are extremely important. And having this opportunity, I just want to let you know that the employees of this company are second to none. So proud to have been part of M.U.D. for these years, and I spent most of my time with engineering and construction, and they will always have a huge place in my heart. And I'm still connected closely with construction right now, and to that group of employees, they have my unending respect, and I'm so proud of them. And they serve our customer owners very well every day, and it was a pleasure working with them. And thank you so much for your support. You guys have, sorry, guys, women, men, everybody's been so supportive as a board for me personally and for the groups I've represented. So I'd like to think of this as just a thank you and a so long for now, and hopefully we'll interact somewhere down the road. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that. I'd like to introduce the board to our esteemed guest, Galen Shafford, Joe's better half.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. This is, I think about M.U.D. and Joe's, he's the original millennial. You wouldn't know it, but he's been here over 10 years now. Longest place he's ever worked, I understand. Yes, that's true. So he's jumped around a little bit, but it's been almost 10 at several places. And now that he's at M.U.D., and if you don't mind, I'd like to introduce Galen as the Vice President of Strategic Initiatives at Tenaska Marketing, right? Thank you, Mark. So Galen's in the energy industry. Joe's in the energy industry. Joe's an accountant. Can you imagine the discussions at dinner? Most of us, and Corey just mentioned his wife Diane and my wife Aldona, they know way more about M.U.D. than they should or maybe even want to. But I have a feeling this is kind of a competition here, maybe. But
She's winning.
Well, you heard, we always said he's a smart person. So again, it's not about Joe's background as much as it is about his character, the way he's conducted himself, the transformational changes he's made here, and his ability to talk about a topic for quite a while. So come on, let's just break the ice here.
Second, Joe can talk a long time, second.
Yeah. But, and when I defend that to Director Friend, I say, we're making a public record here. So, but Joe's grasp of what we've done into, well, you just heard it earlier, he's leaving behind a resolution, and hopefully that you approve, that helps those that come after him react to the market quicker. I'm not used to that kind of thing, so that's much appreciated. I could go on and on about all of the things that, and I would include Deb Schneider in this. Joe comes along, Mark comes along. We just, we're a utility and we do it really well, but I think bringing in the financial acumen to help make sure that the board's confident that when we do take more money from our friends and neighbors and the money that we have, that we are extremely seriously committed to being stewards of those funds. We are a public utility, and but I've gotten to know Joe, and anybody that has triplets is way up here in my book. Somebody that can feed all three at the same time in the middle of the night is only second to the person that delivers the triplets. So, it's a thing. It's a thing. And I don't want to leave out the fourth child, because I've gotten to know Joe well enough to, we know a little bit about each other's families, but mostly because of our, what do I want to say, age? Yeah, we do. It's like the Progressive commercial. You don't want to be, we talk about medical things. There is no HIPAA between Joe and I. Now, I know I'm going to get in trouble here. But I would leave it with, thank you, Joe. Really appreciate it. I'm still going to be calling you. And I called him yesterday on the way home from work and said, I just want to keep calling you every day till you're done here. And we know that he will be he'll continue to be a great mentor to his successor. Very much appreciated. And I just want you to come on up and let the board make your forehead.
Yes. Thank you. For Director Friend's benefit, I prepared kind of lengthy remarks, Dave, so I hope you provided me that. It's funny when Mark talked about what Galen and I both do. We're both financial people. We both work in the energy industry, and Perhaps what's telling is that none of our 4 children are following in our footsteps, so we either really seem miserable at home or I'm not sure what it was. But, you know, it has been a privilege. It's hard to believe it's been 10 years. Like Mark said, I'm a millennial before my time. I've worked at 8 employers in my 42-year finance career, but I've never worked anywhere longer than here. I had the privilege of working with and learning from the previous CFO, and Deb Schneider. I think she set the district on a great course financially. We've tried to kind of continue that trend, which I think has been corroborated by continually improved credit ratings, which helps all of us. Have had great help from my direct reports in Mark Myers, Geneva Patterson, and Pat Brennan and their teams. The other thing that I really have enjoyed, and I'll credit a lot of this to Mr. Doyle, in that I think we've developed a really collaborative environment where we challenge each other across disciplines. And I think that's really a good thing. It makes us better. We challenge in a respectful way, but we're not afraid to challenge, and I think that's a great thing. I think the other thing that's important is the relationship that I've had with the board. Every time we meet with a credit rating agency, a standard question is, what is management's relationship with the board? And I kid you not, their issue is not, we want a rubber stamp board. We want a board that's engaged, that you can discuss tough issues with. And obviously, I think we do that, and that helps us. I guess the other thing I guess I'd end with, and it maybe speaks to my duration here, is that, you know, it sounds like a corporate tagline, but Mr. Doyle used it again this morning in that, you know, we provide life essential services in the form of water and gas. That really hit home with me during the pandemic. And I think about the measures that we took to make certain we could continue to provide those. And, you know, I had friends that kind of thought, my God, you guys are going off the deep end. What are you doing? And I said, well, what if you can't wash your hands? I mean, what if you, oh, I get it. So, I mean, it doesn't hit home, I think, until you sit in the chair. And I guess that has kept me engaged and challenged for 10 years. Obviously, along with the support of my wife, it's great having an energy consultant at home who I continue to learn from. So, again, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Can we give you eulogies, Joe? Or I have to say that when I started on this board and I was assigned to the retirement committee, and I thought, well, this will be boring. But I have learned so much from you. It makes me rethink going into social work, frankly. I should have looked a little closer at things like accounting and finance. But I'm so grateful for the time that I was able to sort of be your study under you, if you will. It's really broadened my horizons and made me much more aware. Your commitment to those committees, those financial committees, and to the things that are going to impact employees when they leave here is so significant. And I'm really grateful. And I know that as they use things like the retirement funds in the future, they're going to be real grateful too. So thank you.
Sure, I appreciate that. What I love about your engagement is the number of times you send me financial articles you read.
Oh yeah.
And say, what do you think about this?
See, that's because of you.
Hey, Joe, I appreciate the course you've kept us on. As I told you before, you probably have more power in this room than any of us put together. How many pocket protectors have you worn out over your career?
I gave those up years ago, Tim, but I appreciate the stereotype, though. I did wear them for a while. Yeah.
Well, Joe, it's been a pleasure. Our times here at M.U.D. have pretty much overlapped with each other. And you are just the consummate gentleman, professional, and I appreciate the guidance you provided to myself and the board. And most importantly, ratepayers owe you a huge debt of gratitude for how you've advised this board and our finances going forward. And I'm very pleased with where we are as an organization. And as a side note, you introduced the phrase color of money to us. Yes. So I'll never watch the great Paul Newman and Tom Cruise movie without thinking of you and the color of money.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Joe, I'd like to say thank you too. Every time I ask a question, you take the time and explain it in good detail. You have a unique ability to boil difficult things down to a way that we can understand them, and I appreciate that. Our good friend, Jack Frost, after several meetings, and many meetings, he pulled me aside and said, Mike, you ask way too many questions. And I do. I said, my answer to Jack is that I do ask questions because I can't, in good faith, vote for an issue on the board without fully understanding it. And so I ask a lot of questions, and you are very patient, very understanding, and very professional in your responses, and I totally appreciate that. And people ask me when I retired, how do you like retirement? And my response is, retirement is the best job I've ever had. And it truly is. And now I wish you and Galen to have time together and do the things you want to do, but more importantly, when you want to do them.
Yes.
So I wish you the best in this new chapter of life. You've been a good friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I, too, have learned a lot. Until Bob got here, I was the newest member. I didn't know what was going on. And I get that a credit rating is important, but, and I'm seeing that, and that's true. You've never led me wrong, so I'm gaining an understanding, and I want you to know that I forgive you for breaking your promise to me. When I first started this job, we went to that dinner at the steakhouse, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to be here a long time. I got bills to pay," and I thought, great. And then here you come 3.5 years later. Anyway, I forgive you and thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Well, to the bill issue, my wife's going to work a little longer than I am, so that was the plan.
Sounds fair.
Thank you.
Thank you. I guess the icing on the cake would be a pension fund that's funded well into the 90s and an OPEB that actually has a trust fund that is being funded for the future to lower the risk on ever losing those promises to our employees. So thank you. Thank you to the board. Appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Mendenhall.
Are you retired?
Tough act to follow.
Yeah, he wishes.
I was just worried about somebody running out making photocopies for me. All right, well, good morning, Mark Mendenhall, Senior Vice President, General Counsel. Before I touch on tab 16, I just wanted to mention two quick things regarding the legislative report that I think are important for you all to be aware of regarding LB 122. Another reason why excavators are quote unquote pushing the button to refresh is if they strike something and there's not an active ticket, the statute provides strict liability. So that excavator is strictly liable for what happens. So that's another reason why they are always trying to make sure there's an active ticket. To Mr. McGowan, Director McGowan's question about support or neutrality, I have always had concern about what is referred to as the HIT court, the Underground Excavation Safety Committee, whether or not that provides an appropriate level of due process. As you all know, we are a significant excavator. We're always putting shovels in the ground, and so it gives me pause, but I believe that there is still a structure to, if we would dispute a decision by that HIT court, that we still have an opportunity to go up to the Attorney General. So I think that hopefully frames why I would also support a neutral position on that. Behind tab 16, to the reason why I'm here, Mr. Kim drafted a letter regarding seeking condemnation authority. I'm not quite sure if Jay is able to bring up a map. I see it here. Unfortunately, on mine, it printed off in black and white, but you'll see a nice colored picture there. Essentially, what we are seeking is authority through approval of the resolution that is attached to Mr. Kim's letter. This resolution allows the district to pursue condemnation. Condemnation will be for permanent easements and temporary easements over what is called Outlot K and Lot 3 of Windsor West. This is a subdivision in Sarpy County, and the easements are needed to construct and install a 36-inch water main in Giles from 180th to 185th. Permanent, it's about 1.5 acres, temporary, about 1.2 acres. I cannot tell you which color is which, other than you'll see that they do cross over, along the south side of Giles Street. We've been in negotiations with the property owner for really about a year now, and we have provided revisions, we've provided concessions. We intend to continue those negotiations, but due to the urgency of the need, I think it's appropriate to move forward and pursue condemnation, or at least have that as an option for us. So happy to answer any questions to the best of my ability.
Does the property owner know we're pursuing condemnation?
He will be informed of that shortly after you all. Typically, we do not utilize that as a empty threat. That's something that residential subdivision developers such as this individual know that we have that authority, but we don't go around and say, hey, we're going to take your property. We always strive to negotiate and work with a property owner and pay them what the value of the rights that we're seeking are. So if the board were to approve the resolution, yes, a conversation with the developer, the property owner, will be coming very shortly. So,
if we do pursue litigation on that, is that a cost recoverable from the developer down the road, or is that a separate issue? That's never really come up before, has it?
The cost to pursue the condemnation itself?
Yes.
We have not, to my knowledge, sought to recover the costs. And the costs are fairly minimal. I mean, we've got in-house staff that are handling it, and then the county court appoints the 3 panel appraisers. It's not a significant cost. It does take up to 90 days to go from start to finish. But in terms of cost, no, I think it's, I'm not aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Would you say we offer them a fair price? Is that based on the appraisal for their property tax?
That is one way that we start these discussions, but for this one, there was actually an appraisal of the property done by Sarpy County regarding a roadway improvement along Giles and 185th. So we agreed with with the developer's initial evaluation of cost. So we said, yeah, we'll pay that. Then he asked for engineering costs and legal fees. We agreed to pay that as well. Now he's kind of retracted a little bit and he's seeking something additional. So I would say, yes, we are paying a fair market value based on an appraisal that he has presented to us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
If I could, I know that we've got a closed session, and I'm wondering if my colleagues would consider moving the Committee of the Whole, the Infrastructure Replacement Program update, which is an annual update till next month. If you decide you don't want to, that's fine, but I got to go back to work. So at some point in time, if we could shave a little time off today's meeting, if that's okay. Mark says that the staff, he believes, is okay with that. Does that work for the?
Look at Jared and how. Would you stand up and show us your suit?
Funny that you should say that. He promised me he'd wear it next month.
Well, or there's a whole world of opportunity. I'm very jealous of it. But I apologize, if it's okay, I mean, this is how life works, and boy, is life lifing lately. It looks like we've got the board agrees, and thank you very much for your grace.
We can take the handouts when we look at it.
Yeah, we're going to study. Director McGowan is going to study, so be ye ready. All right. That means I can go to public comment. Are there any members of the public in the audience today who would like to address the board? Virtual too, anybody? All right, if none, do any board members have any further comments?
can insert at this point. Remember, Heath of Streets is coming up on Saturday. It'll be a fun activity for each and every one of you. And Sarah, my daughter, informed me that she put up a Facebook post showing her cat getting ready to run and drew in many more people that were interested. Oh, thank you. My phone a friend has come through. Heath the Streets registration, late coming, I thought you were the last one, but it's now at 8:35 and our goal is 1,000, so only a few more. You can still register for the timed event until tonight, 11:59 Central Time. And you can register the day of the event or participate virtually. And Rick Kubat informed me that he is the fastest virtual runner of all of us. So hope I see you Saturday, or do it virtually, that's fine too. But I really appreciate your participation, and I know it will go a long way and mean a lot to people that need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Howard. Anybody else? I see, once again, Mark Mendenhall.
Again, good morning, Mark Mendenhall, General Counsel. One item I just wanted to bring to your attention. Last month, the Governance Committee discussed proposed rules of order. The thought process that we had would be to bring a final recommendation to the April meeting, and we will work establishing a formal committee meeting for the Governance Committee to discuss between now and then. So just wanted to provide that update. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. I don't see anybody else. This meeting has now concluded. We'll reconvene for the regular monthly meeting in 10 minutes. Be chilly. I'd like to call the meeting.
Are we rolling?
Yeah, Jay told me that we could go. Right, Jay? I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'm Tanya Cook, chairperson of the Metropolitan Utilities District Board of Directors. I'd like to welcome you all to the regular monthly board meeting this morning, March 1st, 2023. I think it came in like a lamb. This meeting is being live streamed from the board room at the M.U.D headquarters building located at 7350 World Communications Drive, and a recording of this meeting will be uploaded to the M.U.D website after the meeting's conclusion. All right, roll call.
Cook.
Here.
Friend.
Here.
Sidzik.
Here.
McGowan.
Here.
Howard. Here. Kavanaugh.
Here.
Bagley.
Here.
I'd like to advise all those in attendance that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available on the wall in the back of the boardroom. Pledge of Allegiance. And now for those who wish to participate, we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the minutes for the committee meetings and regular board meeting for February 1st, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Capital expenditures, Director Friend.
Thank you. Capital expenditures discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Gina Langle dated February 23rd with the amendment that adds the gas main from Cass North 75th to 76th. And my understanding is that it is included in the minutes. So with the amendment that includes under system improvements number 2, not just the 30 feet of water, but 30 feet of 2-inch, 10-pound gas main.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Right. Acceptance of contracts and payment of final estimates, Director Friend.
Thank you. Also discussed in committee, I move approval as outlined in the memo from Stephanie Henn dated February 16th.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Change order for construction of the West Dodge Pump Station, Director Friend.
Thank you. This item also discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Stephanie Henn dated February 22nd.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Bids on materials and contracts, Director Friend.
Thank you. Item also discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Sherry Meisinger dated February 17th.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Main extensions, Director Friend.
Thank you. Also discussed in committee, I move approval as outlined in the memo from Masania dated February 21st.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Wage and/or salary increases and ratifications, Director Begley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval for the wage and/or salary increases and ratifications as discussed in committee this morning and outlined in Ms. Savine's memo dated February 17, 2023.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Right. Selection of Senior Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, Director Begley.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the promotion of Senior Vice President, Chief Financial Officer for Mark Myers, as discussed in committee and outlined in Ms. Savine's memo dated February 21st, 2023.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook,
Yes.
Friend,
Yes.
Sidzik,
Yes.
McGowan,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Bagley.
Agenda item number 12, requisition for manager, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Director Begley.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion, before we get into item number 12, a motion for that. I'd like to make a motion to delay this item till next month. I just got the job description Monday night. I'd like to digest that job description. I'd like to study the issue a little longer so I can make an educated vote, not guess. My mind's open on this. I haven't made my mind up. I want some more information. And I asked the board to give me an extra month to do some research and homework on the issue and look at it next month.
All right. There's a motion on the table. Mark, looks like Mark would. All right. I did not brush up on my Robert's Rules of Order or whatever we use for our governance.
Just a guideline, but we
A
are going to
guideline.
meet with the governance committee. to talk
Sure,
that over.
that meeting's coming up, and that's on the record. We have a motion to postpone this, and I need a second. Do I need a second?
I would say under Article 4, Section 6, we don't need a second. It would
Okay.
just be a majority of the board can agree to lay it over, or a majority of the board could say, no, we're not going to lay it over, we're going to hear it today. So I think we can take a roll call vote and see,
Yeah.
see where
Okay.
see where that lands.
All right, we're going to take a roll call vote right now on Director McGowan's motion to postpone the vote on the requisition for manager, diversity, equity, inclusion.
Cook,
No.
Friend,
No.
Sidzik,
No.
McGowan,
Yes?
Howard,
No.
Kavanaugh,
No.
Bagley.
No.
Okay, so there's still a motion. Director Begley,
Thanks,
there's a
Madam.
second.
I've not made a motion
You've
yet.
not made a motion
Correct.
yet.
So, Madam Chair, I move that we approve the requisition for manager, diversity, equity, and inclusion as discussed in committee this morning and outlined in Ms. Savine's memo dated February 27, 2023.
Second.
All right, discussion.
I'm going to vote against it simply because I don't think we need the position. I think we have a professional HR staff who's responsible for this very thing. And that should have been something that's been going on all along, and I'm comfortable that we've been doing that. I would rather have an added position to the OAC staff than another SPA. So it's not that I disagree with any of the reasons for this. I think the reasons are very valid. I just don't think we need the position.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call.
Cook,
Yes.
Friend,
No.
Sidzik,
Yes.
McGowan,
Present, no vote.
Howard,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
No.
Bagley.
Yes.
All right. Agenda item 13, SPA general salary increase. Director Begley.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I move for approval of the SPA salary structure adjustments as discussed in committee this morning and outlined in Ms. Savine's memo dated February 27th, 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Cook,
Yes.
Friend,
Yes.
Sidzik,
Yes.
McGowan,
Yes?
Howard,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Number 14, bond resolution for potential refund of Water Department Series 2012 bonds. Director McGowan.
I make a motion to approve the bond resolution for potential refinance of Water Department Series 2012 bonds as discussed in committee and outlined in the memo from Joe Schaffer dated 2/21.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Who are we authorizing to make this decision? Would this be the finance director, the vice president, the president of the utility? I want to
Mr.
vote yes,
Shafford?
but I want to know who I'm, and it won't be you, I know that.
No. Joe Shafford, Chief Financial Officer. The monitoring will occur by Piper Sandler. They will identify a window of time. If it exists, they would inform us. The CFO would visit with Mr. Doyle, and we would proceed. The resolution would allow us to proceed without further board approval.
Thank you.
But again, the caveat being, the only reason you do this is to save money.
But you'd be well informed as that's going anyway. We just wouldn't need to wait till the next board meeting.
That is the key thing. Time is really of the essence a lot of times on this, but yeah, absolutely, you'd be informed.
Great. Thank you. Setting us up for success once again. All right. Did we vote on that? I can't remember.
Not yet.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. We had some discussion. Roll call, please.
Cook?
Yes.
Friend?
Yes.
Sidzik?
Yes.
McGowan?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Bigley?
Yes.
Okay, the second legislative report. Director Kavanaugh.
Have we made any changes since the last one? Then we just place it on file? Okay, placed on file.
All right, then that doesn't require a vote, correct? Agenda number 16, condemnation authorization for Windsor West. Director Kavanaugh.
This request was discussed in committee, and I move for approval to grant the district permission to seek condemnation if negotiation is not successful on this.
Second.
Any discussion? Yeah, I'd like to re-emphasize that we don't go here directly all over our area. This is not going to come up all the time. Roll call.
Cook?
Yes.
Friend?
Yes.
Sidzik?
Yes.
McGowan?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Bigley?
Yes.
All right, do any board members have any matters of district business to discuss?
I do, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I see that the city's going to widen 168th between Center and Q, and also 156th between Wycliffe and Pacific, pretty much at the same time. And we will no doubt be involved in some relocations during that time, and I want to stress how important it's going to be to work efficiently along with the city on this so that we don't cause any delays in these projects. They're both going to be way over a year. That's what they're saying now. Wait, it's going to be 2 to 3, I'll bet anything. And it's going to cause significant inconvenience for people who live in that area with street closures. So I want to stress the importance of M.U.D's role in this to be prepared to mobilize to get these relocations done as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Director Kavanaugh, and we always appreciate, that's what's nice about all being customers and moving around the areas that we serve. We always appreciate the feedback when any board members tell us something. But on projects like this that are that big, I'll be asking staff, give me an update every so often on how we're doing. So if you'd like that, we'd be happy to do that as well. But
I don't want to create any more work. I'll ask, as it comes up from here and there. There's no surprises here. I'll ask you in advance.
Thank you, too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Kavanaugh. Are there any other board members that wish to address the board at this time with M.U.D. business?
have we mentioned Heat the Streets yet?
Yes.
I'm just kidding. I was just giving you another opportunity.
Okay. That concludes the regular board agenda items. The board will now go into a closed session for the purpose of discussing litigation, personnel, and real estate. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Cook?
Yes.
Friend?
Yes.
Sidzik?
Yes.
McGowan?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Bigley?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to return to open session?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Discussion roll call.
Cook,
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Do any directors or members of the public have any further comments to share? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Cook,
Yes.
Friend,
Yes.
Sidzik,
Yes.
McGowan,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
We are adjourned.